And we wrap up today with Denver Post columnist Krista Kafer and Blair Miller of thedenverchannel.com. And we get to talk about anything and everything. A lot going on right now. Do we want to start with the White House, Michael Cohen, the Russia investigation?
Yeah, I mean, we
Dealer's
can.
choice here.
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there to talk about this week. Yeah, you know, we saw that Michael Cohen has been getting some payments through LLCs from all sorts of various companies.
That might be connected with a certain big country, you know, to the east of us.
So this investigation is getting a lot more interesting now, and I think it's interesting personally how the Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels thing has sort of opened up this Pandora's box of all this other stuff that now kind of all ties in, but we're still seeing how it all is unveiling, I guess.
I think the president and his lawyer are probably having some regrets about who they've been in bed with.
So you think there's some squirming going on in Washington right now?
I think so.
Oh, I would be most certain about that, I would think, yeah.
The comments from the White House staffer about John McCain saying, they were talking specifically about the confirmation of Gina Haspel as the CIA director, saying it doesn't matter, he's dying anyway. Ouch.
Yeah, disgusting. I mean, this is an honorable man, a man who's served this country in ways that most of us haven't. I mean, he was tortured, he was in a prison camp, he's been a senator, he's comported himself with honor and dignity, and here somebody glibly makes this comment of, oh, he'll be dead, his opinion doesn't matter.
Right, and I think, you know, that's just, no matter what your politics are, that's something that you don't say. I mean, and especially about somebody like John McCain, who I think everyone can agree, you know, he spent 4 years in a torture camp, and there was people out there, oh, he gave up, he confessed eventually, but the word is that he lied to his captors, and so I think it's a sick thing for the end of his life, and I don't think anybody reacted very favorably to that whole thing.
So what do you think about Gina Haspel as the CIA director?
I think personally, it's an interesting question, really, because you do have a person that was heavily involved in arguably one of the worst CIA scandals in the past 20 years with this torture program, and how much involvement she had is still under question. I think that her confirmation hearings did go fairly well and brought some more people on board, but then we have more stuff coming out now about some of the programs and how much she was involved. So I think it's going to be pretty close.
But she did comport herself very well in those hearings, and she has the respect of many people that are part of that organization, part of the CIA. I think it's worth taking a risk, taking her on.
Yeah, I just think, McCain's statement is really going to put some people on the fence. I think, he has that powerful say, and having been tortured himself, I think that might sway some people one way or another.
But her testimony, I mean, we had just, we were on the brink of war. We're actually at war. We've got evil people who have done horrific things. How do you stop the next bombing? I don't think torture works. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's immoral, but I can understand why people went towards enhanced interrogation. How can we get these awful people to give up what they're going to do next?
Right, and I think that's going to be the final issue. It's not going to be, I mean, what's done is done already. I think it's going to be whether or not the senators think that person should be involved in this in the future, going ahead, or in charge, I guess.
All right, let's talk Governor Hickenlooper, who is looking at just a few months left in office. Well, what do you think about his tenure as governor? What do you think is next for him as well?
I think he's been a good governor. I haven't agreed with everything he's done. I voted for somebody different, but I think he's been a very good governor. I think he's represented the state well. But you know what? He wrote a book. And if you write a book, then you have to run for president.
And we saw him Friday at a big business luncheon to kind of end the session with the Chamber of Commerce, talking sort of presidentially a little bit. And, I think that, he said on Thursday that it was his most successful session of his tenure after saying that last year. And, I think that those deals really made him happy and could have him looking good for a run. Whether or not people are going to support him, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, does he have what it takes to be a national political figure?
I'd like to think somebody that's moderate like that, that's sensible, could have a place in the national dialogue. I think there's a tendency right now with both parties to pick people who are kind of extreme or loud and kind of rude or difficult, and to have somebody who has fairly mainstream opinions, who's willing to work with the other side, I think he'd be a good candidate.
And I think that, I think 2018 is going to be a real temperature taker for how that 2020 race might go if he decides to get in. What kind of candidates are voters looking for? Are they looking for the extreme candidates? Are they looking for middle ground candidates? And I think if he really wants to do well on that stage, he's definitely going to have to get a little bit better at, being that attentive, good public speaker that, you know, you kind of need to be on the national stage.
All right, we have about 30 seconds left. So what grade would you give the state legislature this year for what they accomplished?
I'm going to give them a B+. I think they did a good job. I think we have one of the best, most sort of functioning bipartisan legislatures. They got done what they needed to do. They did a few things last minute, hence the B+, not the A-.
Yeah, I would maybe go with a B. I think that, you know, they did come to some really good conclusions on stuff that really needed to be addressed, but I think some of the, you know, with transportation, for instance, whether or not those things go on the ballot is really going to determine how effective those bills are.
Very true.
That's true.
All right, Blair Miller, Krista Kafer, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it.